Hello everyone, welcome along to the Nürburgring for the 12 hours of Nürburgring, the inaugural Michelin 12 hours of Nürburgring. And we are going to have our qualifying sessions coming up for you to establish the grid. It's a 6 hours split across the weekend. But that doesn't mean that qualifying is anything other than incredibly important on a weekend where we are racing at the circuit for the penultimate round of the European visits. Mugello, Spa, Paul Ricard out the way. And then, of course, the 24 hours of Barcelona will be the final weekend of the 24H series visitations to Europe before they head off to the Middle East for the winter sun. Talking about sun, Europe has been covered in a massive heat wave over the last couple of weeks. It kind of broke, and so it's very pleasant here at the Nürburgring. 21.5 degrees air temperature, humidity at 35%, track temperatures around 40, depending on where you're pressing your probe. And all in all, very pleasant day to be at the Nürburgring and to go racing. We are in a nice air-conditioned box, has been required. Myself, Ben Kossenjuris, and Peter Snowden alongside me. And we have Sarah Esser and Carla Velti, couldn't say that, down in pit lane. And I believe they'll be having a lovely time too. There is the castle of the Nürburgring.
The Schloss.
Pardon?
Schloss.
Are you okay?
That's what it's called.
Oh, is it?
Yes, German castle.
Is that right? Okay, right. Right then, let's go down to Sarah Esser in the pit lane.
Hello and welcome from the pit lane here at the Nürburgring. Well, we have lots of news this year. Well, I say news. It is the first time here for Creventic at the Nürburgring. We have 2 new teams and one of them is behind me. This is Kio Racing. A little bit later on we will have a chat. We've also got another one further up the grid, but we'll talk to them. That's up to race. That's a little bit later on. Well, we're just waiting for the cars. It's pretty quiet out here. I can tell you ambient temperature 22 degrees, but the track temperature is currently 41 degrees. We have 3 qualifying sessions. Every driver must go in the qualifying session, so 1 in each. Any tyres that are used today will also be used in the race, but still pretty quiet out here. I'll let you know if I can find someone to have a chat with very soon.
So, qualifying, as previously explained then, is 3-part session. We are going to see everybody other than the GT3 cars straight away. So we're going to have qualifying 1, 2 and 3 for TCE, for GT4, for TCX, and for 992. And then we'll have a little bit of a break, and then we'll get our GT3 cars out on the grid. 15 GT3 cars, so it's actually a bit of an even split. There'll be 15 cars in the first session, and then 15 cars in the second session. The reason why we split it is to give everyone the opportunity to have plenty of space on the circuit. And indeed, a first time for Creventic being here. There's the wonderful Creventic Lounge, which is where we are fed and watered wonderfully. But Snowy, a lot of the teams will not only know this place, but they'll know this place incredibly well.
They will, from other series and lots of racing here. It is, they say, the much shorter Grand Prix circuit. So this one was opened in 1984, I think, is when it ran its first Grand Prix, after many years of disuse, if you like. The last Grand Prix, which was held in 1976. But in those, I hate to say this, but in those 42 years, there are all teams that have gathered a lot of data about their cars, their drivers, etc., engineering point of view, and they will be getting out there and putting that all to good practice soon. From GTX, we have 1 car. TCR, we have 3 cars. And in 992, we have 11 cars on my last count of the entry list. That might have updated a little bit.
Yeah, we got 9.
9 now, okay.
So a few different entry lists with different names. Let's go back down to Carla, who's also in the pits.
Well, it's not Carla, it's Carla, it's Sarah. I'm here with Martin Rum. Good to see you back. It's been a while. I think I wasn't in Paul Ricard, so I missed you there. Michelin Motorsport, one of their main sort of competitors has been QMMF. They're not here this weekend, so looking to gain some points and ahead of them in the championship.
Yeah, definitely. We have been having quite a good season with Michelin Motorsport, and we have wins. We had our first second position in Paul Ricard. Plenty of points, trying to keep that good run going on, and where else to be than Nürburgring? It's a bit weird not having to go for the long Nordschleife, but it's always nice being back at the Nürburgring, and to be honest, I can't remember when exactly I drove this layout. Maybe it was 12 years ago, but it's so exciting to do like a sprint sort of setting in here and go for 12 hours. So yeah, I'm really excited for this weekend.
Sprint setting. Well, it is also split into 2 6-hour races today, tomorrow and Sunday. Talk about the track. You had some time out yesterday. Bit of gravel on the other side of the track. Tell us what sections are completely tricky here.
Well, to be honest, I only arrived at the track this morning, so I wasn't part of the testing yesterday, but I know the team went out and did a couple of laps to just get the rhythm in, and you know, it's similar to the 24-hour Nürburgring here, so it's only the last corner really that we need to sort of drive differently, but you know, it's a solid track. It has a good flow. Definitely some gravel here and there, especially the last chicane is one to look out for, and you know, just to keep it on the black stuff, the usual really. Right now, we've done the free practice. We had a bit of trouble in the beginning with the new tire, but we're looking onwards and upwards now for qualifying. But as always, here we are mostly focused on the race, so that's where our minds are kind of at the moment.
Well, thank you so much. Sunny's on for now. Helmet going on very, very soon. It's a full team effort for qualifying, and we're going to tune in. The cars are just heading out. Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really like this format of qualifying. It does obviously go on a fair bit because we have 3 15-minute sessions, but it really gives every driver the opportunity to qualify themselves, and the combination of lap times and the average is what sets the grid. So the team qualify, and there isn't such a, you know, in other 24-hour races we've seen recently, it ultimately boils down to a single driver to set that qualifying time, even if there are elements of the team within it. Here, the average of 3, and okay, there are a couple of drivers, a couple of teams that have 4 drivers. There are even more that have 5. The Seb Lejeune car that's first out on circuit has 5 drivers in it because they've had to combine 2 cars to make one. The 910 car, a late withdrawal, and so the gentlemen drivers that are paid to drive in that one have been given a seat in the 888. So Seb Lejeune sharing that car with Paul Meyer, Stéphane Perrin, Anthony Vince, and Carlos Rivas, the Luxembourg driver. And they therefore have 5 drivers on their entry list. And there is another GT3 car that has 5 drivers. So outside of the 992s that we'll be obviously focusing on, we have 4 TCE cars, which includes this Porsche Cayman GT4 CS. Snowy's going to have to explain to me why that's not a GT4 car in a second.
No pressure then.
There's also a Cupra, a Seat Leon Cup Racer. There is a Ligier JS2R, but then we also have on the same circuit in GTX a Ligier JS2RS. So Snowy's going to explain the difference between those two as well. I'm going to give a bit more time on that one. And then finally, in the GT4 category, just a single GT4 in the category, and that is the BMW M4 GT4 Evo of Hoffa Racing by Bonk Motorsport, who are basically live here at the Nürburgring and participate in all the NLS races, as well as anything that happens here. Here is the Red Camels car, which I think is a bit of a disadvantage this weekend. Yes, Red Camels synonymous and associated with Creventic, but that means because they don't race outside of Creventic, they have no experience of this circuit. Whereas everyone around them in the 992 category probably has done the Nordschleife, probably has done the 24-hour race. And let's not forget that the 24-hour Nürburgring is pretty much run on the same circuit as this. They just don't do the last corner. You actually can do the last corner if you want to. It is the same circuit with the extension of the Nordschleife. So you probably have a car set up differently for the Nordschleife than you would do for just the Grand Prix loop. But yeah, most of the 992 guys will have raced here at some point before, whereas Red Camels coming here fresh. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how that affects them. Usual lineup for them of the Breukers, and Fabian Dance will be in the car for this first session. If you do have AMs or AM Spirits in your lineup, then this is the time for them to shine in qualifying one. Fabian Dance is the AM, or I should say one of the AMs, in the Red Camels car, which is fastest right now. And Ivo, Luke and Rick will take responsibilities in that car, with Luke and Rick rated as semi-pros, Ivo as an AM and Fabian also as an AM. And we look a bit further back to the Van Berlo by CP Motorsport Porsche, with Marcel and Glenn sharing it with Bart Van Helden, who is the AM Plus in that machine.
You wanted the difference between the GT3 Cup and the CS?
Go on.
The GT3 Cup is a pure race-bred car. They're approximately the same horsepower, around about 510, 500, 510. But the CS is derived from the road version. So whilst it has the same power, it still has street legal emissions, controls and bits like that, and it can be driven on the road, whereas the GT3 Cup car is not. It is purely built for the racetrack. Yeah,
so therefore it is effectively, that's why it's in the TCE category. Correct. Rather than it is not a GT4 homologated machine. Your next research is the difference between the R and the RS. And the Ligier JS2, we'll have a look at those because they will confuse you. There is one of them. They race, I think they've got their own championship in France, and there's an incredibly popular car. But rarely do you see them out of Europe, so really good to see two of them in this weekend. Of course, I'm sure at least one of them, if not more, was at Paul Ricard. But curiously, and I don't know when the last time this happened, and I'm sad, and I don't know the reasons why, but we have no Vortex on the entry. Vortex winning in GTX in the first 3 rounds of the championship. They have, in theory, won that championship because they've always had competition, but it's always been from a different team in GTX, and they were the constant, as they have done the last couple of years. So no Amarouches and no Vortex or Vortices, I'm not quite sure, but I'm sure we'll see them back at Barcelona in a few months' time, where they'll be able to pick up their prize for winning the European Series. And it was, you know, we also saw them out in the Middle East, didn't we? We saw them in Malaysia at the end of last year. They've all been a real constant, as much of a constant, really, as Red Camels. So Fabian Dance still has the fastest time on the board, with HRT Performance Igor Sorokin in 2nd position. And then Anthony Debarn in 3rd, with Anthony Vince in 4th for Seb Lejeune Racing. Just remember that these are the least experienced, the lowest rated drivers of the lineups. So Tracy Crone in his RPM Racing Porsche that we have seen race here a lot, of course, both in the NLS and in the Creventic Championship also.
Yeah, you're right about the Ligier. By the way, there is a Ligier JS Cup France series for this JS2 little sports car. But as you say, it's really nice to see them outside of France and coming to not just Germany, but to Creventic's first run at the Nürburgring circuit. Great to see them out here, and great to see Creventic have pulled this off and got us a race here.
Let's have a quick look at what's happened to the Chazelle Technology Corsa. No, it's very late into that gravel trap.
It looks like it's, from what I can just see, that car rejoining. It looks like it's lost the rear end on the way in. So the back end's it's turned left and just lost the control of the back of the car and gone into the gravel and potted back out again. And very sedentary, making its way back now. This is the number 920 entry, is it not?
Now, curious to see also that we are missing two, and that means both of the Asbest racing cars. We should expect to see the Seat Leon Cupra Racer 102, and the 101 had gone into the pits after just a single lap.
Yeah, that's the Cupra TCR entry. Yeah,
but they are now showing us out, so they are very late to the party.
Just to finish, it was just car 920 was actually the Chazelle Technology Calls car. Yes.
Yeah. And yeah,
rather than just his number.
Asbest Racing have been known to miss qualifying, knowing that they don't necessarily need to put the car and the extra mileage on the car. But Stephen Tyrrellick in the 101, which is the Cupra TCR, coming out, and then the older Seat Leon Cupra Racer, the 102 with Michael Neuhauser, is now out on circuit. Now, a few changes at the top of our timing screens, with 921 getting a lovely strip stream over the line. Muller Motorsports, Joshua Bedansky, who is the semi-pro in that car. It's an all semi-pro lineup, so it's not a surprise that he has gone fastest. It will be in a different category, of course, to the majority of AM-entered machines. There is one other non-992 AM, and that, of course, is the Red Camels car, which Fabian Danz has brought into the pits. I noticed Igor Sorokin also coming into the pits as well. So, with 4.5 minutes remaining of the session.
Yeah, that was a very last-minute dive for Igor Sorokin in the HRT Performance GT3 Cup car, 992 class. Almost literally last minute, suddenly just braked and swerved and jerked right into the pits as if it's changed his mind or was suddenly called late into the box. He's down at his box now, but that was very much, it was not a smooth approach in, put it that way.
Well, I wonder whether he's just simply run out of, it feels like he's run out of time on the tyre, because it was looking like it was going to be a better lap, but then he did get traffic at the end of the lap, so deciding against it. Information to the pits, and thank you very much for Sarah for digging that one out. The KO Racing, or KEO Racing Ligier, the RS version, which are we looking at now? No, we're looking at the R version here. The RS version had an ABS failure, so they have got that car fixed, and it's running pretty well actually, in 4th position, splitting the 992 field. And I'm afraid she's also reporting that Asbest have got some technical issues with getting the car started. That would explain why the Seat Leon Cupra Racer is late to the party, but my lord, that must be an old car. That's one to put on the list of interviews to do, because 15 years ago?
You're suggesting it's an historic car in modern contemporary racing?
Having just commentated on a historic GT3 race from cars in 2015, yes. Where's the historic touring car race for old Renault Clios and Seat Leon Cupra racers? Because I'm sure it was the 2000s where Rob Huff was racing in something like that and winning the British and European championships. Take a look at this Ligier, the JS2. This is the R version for Not Only Motorsport. Wonder what else they do. If they're called Not Only Motorsport, what else? What does that mean? They're an Italian team, and they are an all semi-pro lineup in that car. So we should see that car fast. And there is the 111 Cayman, and that is the GT4 CS, so the road spec machine, which is 2nd fastest in TCE, about 3 seconds off the JS2R. Quick look at the BMW coming through shot, the only GT4 machine from Bonk Motorsport. Martin Kroll driving that car at the moment, and he will be sharing that car with Michael Bonk, of course, Claudia Hurtgen, and Ella Weiss. So that's a nice, strong team with female semi-pros.
Also coming into the pits as we speak, completing its run. This is just over, literally coming up to 1 minute left of this first part of qualifying for them, qualifying 1.
Yeah, I'm not sure we're going to see that many improvements. Maybe from Van Verlo Motorsport. We've got Marcel in the car right now, and they are down in 9th position, but he is on a better first sector of his lap. Everyone else is pretty much done, with Mulner Motorsports 921 on the pole. HRT Performance QMF by HRT is their full entry name. Second fastest for Igor Sorokin. Fabian Dance third fastest. KO Racing fourth in their GTX. And then Anthony Vince in fourth in the 992 category for Seb Lejeune Racing, with that off-roading Chazelle Technology Corsa machine in fifth spot for Anthony de Barn. Imagine we've had a fair few drivers already swapped out. They've given themselves plenty of time to do so. Just a reminder that tyres are associated to individual drivers in these qualifying sessions, so they'll all get a new set of tyres in each of their sessions, but those tyres then have to be used in the race itself, otherwise you get penalties. So make sure you don't take too much out of them, I suppose. That's why we saw them coming in early to the pits.
Yeah, entirely so, and it's there's a 7-minute gap now between the end of this session and the next one. 3 rotations of 15 minutes. Each of the drivers has to qualify. A little spin there for one of our Seats by the look of it, I think, at the back. That's coming out of the Michael Schumacher race now onto the long run down to the chicane.
I think there were some telltale signs at the back of the shot there. Let's have a look. Second car.
Ooh. Just way too fast corner entry speed. Just missed the apex by a mile, and just too fast in by the look of it.
Kept it pinned though, didn't he?
Kept it lit and kept it out of the kitty litter as well. So good recovery. But weren't it on that set of tyres a world of good?
Yes, if you've got to carry them on.
Which he has.
Of course, these.
This is the 102, by the way.
These front-wheel drive machines. Why is he going on? Does he?
This is the car with the Asbest 102 entry. They're talking about the Seat Leon Cup racer, not the 101.
Yes, the older car with Michael Neuhauser aboard, and he has now taken the flag, but probably could have come into the pits. Front-wheel drive machine, so rear-wheel drives just keeping the bumper off the floor, and those rear wheels, therefore, in theory, can be used. I think we've seen Asbest use them for sort of 6-8 hours at a time. Such has been the capabilities. And the lack of use.
Not overly loaded, are they?
Not overly loaded, no.
Certainly on the inside of any corner.
But now one of them's got some gravel painting on the rims. So all cars then have taken the flag. We have our first session complete. It doesn't set the grid. It just contributes to the next drivers that go out on circuit. And we'll get a little bit closer to establishing our grid. Let's go down then to Sarah in pit lane. I think she's got James Kellett.
Correct. James, going in second. Igor didn't maximise that session. Can you tell us perhaps why?
Do you know what? I think he actually did. For his personal performance, I thought he maximised it. We're currently leading AM class in qualifying. I'm going in second. I'm giving Steve the last qualifying session just to see if he can put in a bit of a naughty time for himself. But the track seems to be quick. The team have done a mega job with the car. I'm looking forward to see what the new tyres feel like.
Well, when I say maximise, I mean using the whole time. I think you were one of the first cars back. So happy that he met what he was expecting. Tell us more about qualifying saying as a team effort, you all need to put in a good time, but also the tyres running into tomorrow.
Absolutely. So we have to take the qualifying tyres into the race tomorrow. So ideally, you don't want to use them. Obviously, you want to maximise qualifying as much as possible on the set of tyres you've got to use, but you don't want to kill them for the race tomorrow. So ideally, you want to try and get your laps done in early as possible and try and box and save the tyre. So hopefully, I'm going out there maybe 2 or 3 flyers at a max and box, save the tyre ready for tomorrow's race.
Well, thank you so much for having a quick word. I know you need to get ready and jump in the car. Thanks, James.
Yeah, James just clarifying the regulations for those tyres that we mentioned before. Oh, blimey, and getting straight into the car.
You mentioned earlier, Ben, that a lot of these drivers are absolute professionals. They're doing James Keller, they're doing a great interview explaining how all the qualifying tyres and all work to Sarah in the pit lane. And the moment he finishes that interview, he'd already got his lid on anyway, so it's quite difficult to talk through a crash helmet at the best of times. Then just walks forward, jumps in the car and gets on with the job. Talk about finish one thing, move on to the next, process done, move on. He's
quite tall, and I think he's just got into a car that has the wrong seat insert. He just sort of got half in.
Are you joking? What? Here, holding the touring car steering wheel right up here. Yes.
It just
there was a definite look there, wasn't there? Of, are you sure this is? Have I got the right car?
Is this my car?
Is this my car? Can we put the seat back a bit? Is the seat adjustable? Is it heated?
I don't actually. You've just thrown up a good question, Snow, because there is, in the GT3 category, you can adjust pedal boxes, steering racks. You can't slide the seats. They have to be fixed, right?
Correct, and that's exactly the point. So the seat is absolutely fixed, and you can move the column and the pedal boxes away, but the seat has to be fixed for, it's a safety issue, basically, for the greater speeds and that of those cars and lateral impact, etc., etc. I think that will probably filter its way down to different levels of it. Well, but of course, if you've got a production-based car, you can have it on a rail still, but even those rails are far superior to just one you'd see in a road car because of the speeds and potential impacts that can happen in the nature of it on a racetrack. It's very different.
But I would imagine these 992 category cars that have initially been built for sprint racing, they are the Carrera Cup car basically, probably don't have that adjustability.
No, I suspect not. I mean, a Carrera Cup car these days is frankly not far off a GT3 car. In terms of spec, if you actually go and look at one at the size of the rear wing, it's phenomenal. Yeah, I've had smaller houses.
So tyres going on the Mulder machine. That is 9:21, which is at the moment the fastest time, has the fastest time of the session with Jordan. Let's go back down to Sarah.
Well, Joshua, the commentators were talking a little bit about moving the seat. You're quite a different height to Martin. Can you tell us what is movable in the car and what isn't, and how you adjust between the drivers?
Yeah, it is already a challenge because we need to make a quick changing driver. So we go back to the seat, we unplug all the pillow between Martin and me and also Conrad because we have completely different size. So it's always a challenge to move really, really high, but it's a race.
Well, thank you for that. You had an incredible time out there. You were fastest in the session. Good start for the team.
Yeah, I'm really happy because it's a special for me. It's my first time without Nordschleife. So I just drove on GP, so it's like a new layout track for me. But I'm really happy. Driver pairing, it's really good. Team, it's also really good with Muner, so all was happy.
Well, it sounds like the session has just been delayed. Thank you so much, and we'll see what we'll find out what's going on.
Yeah, thank you very much, and good race.
Thank you so much. Good luck.
Yeah, we could have stayed with Jordan all day because we've got plenty of time. The 102 has not got back to the pits. So we saw him spin. Here we go. We're now on board with him. Why is he taking so long if he is moving, or is he just rolling down the hill?
I don't know. This is the car that you said we had had that little spin earlier on, and then it continued the lap round where you said it wasn't going to record another time, Ben, quite rightly, and it struggled to get up the hill. And I'm not really sure why 102 is struggling to find its way back.
Why is it taking so long?
White flags, repeater lines on the On the side of the circuit, obviously because it's a slow-moving vehicle, that's a designation internationally for is a white flag light repeater board is a slow-moving vehicle on the track.
Did it have a puncture on the rear left corner which made it spin? If it did, then he should have gone straight into the pits. I actually don't know whether this car has got a problem. I just think that the driver is going past, he went past pit entry because he was allowed to finish the session. He hadn't taken the flag, so this was at the end of the session, and I don't think, has he done an extra slowdown lap and missed the flag completely? You can see the flag flying there. Of course, our timing screens isn't going to tell us that because it won't know, but he'll get a big slap on the wrist if he's done an extra lap in the session, because of course it's now delaying this session and everyone's lined up on the at the end of pit lane. As soon as he comes in to pit lane, they will be able to open pit lane. In fact, my timing screen says pit lane is open. Yeah, there we go. Green flag, we're off and away. And we have our second drivers now in the cars. And this is where it gets a little bit more interesting, because you're not forced to use a particular driver. You now have more flexibility in the drivers that you can use. And so, as mentioned previously, the 928 HRT performance machine has James Kellett aboard. We talked to him before he got into the car. And in the fastest car out on circuit, which was Joshua Bendarski, he's now handed that over to the Danish driver, Conrad Levaux. So Mulner versus HRT. Waiting to see who else heads out. We've got, not yet got red camo on circuit. Yes, they now come up with Luke Broikers aboard, but I think they all slightly were caught off guard by that session delayed, but then there was no, right, we're now going. They just sort of queued up at the end of pit lane, and then those who were in the queue were released, but there wasn't actually going green in 2-3 minutes, so we still don't have RPM on circuit. Tracy Crone obviously doing session number 1 in that car, but shares that car with the usual Philip Hamprecht and Nicholas Jonsson. You'd expect that between Nicholas Jonsson going out in the next session and then Philip Hamprecht in the last session. So we ride on board with the Chazelle French Run 992. That is number 920, which has Jean-Paul Domasini aboard. They are, at the moment, after that first session, 6th fastest.
It's a good place to be to start with, but of course it's an amalgamation of all those, an average of the whole lot, so that'll pan out over the next 2 sessions.
So let's see what Conrad can do versus what we saw from his teammate in the last session. The best lap time, a 1:58.0 from number 921. Nice and shiny. Mulner Motorsport having a busy couple of weeks. Obviously last weekend, just around the corner at Spa for their 24-hour race. And
when aren't they busy though, Ben? I mean, obviously,
well, yeah.
You mentioned about teams having loads of data here. That's one of the teams that will have so much data on this circuit, because they tend to live here almost, don't they? Always in NLS's races, 24 hours, etc. So they've got lots and lots of lap time around here. But of course, a slightly different circuit here. You do use this during the 24-hour, the bulk of it. But there's that last little bit at the end where you turn right at this one and come past the pits, or left to go onto the north side for the Sabine-Smits curve. Do not turn left this weekend. You can do, but you won't get very far, because it's not the track, it's just blocked off. It'd be quite damaging, limiting really quite quickly.
And sorry, they'd probably run quite a different setup, even if they're using this circuit as a part of the Nordschleife, and there's only that one right-hand turn. I imagine the compliance you need around the Nordschleife versus the GP circuit, it's going to be very different for a 992 car.
Different car,
yeah,
probably.
No, that's what I mean, yeah.
Exactly, absolutely, I'm agreeing with you. It's, yes, you obviously predominantly because of so much time out there, 25 odd kilometres or whatever it is around there, you'd set the car up predominantly for that part of the circuit, and it's very different, much more undulating, incredibly technical. And this is almost like a squiggly little modern bit at the end of it, the beginning of your lap, if you like. Whereas this weekend, it's entirely the lap that you do, so you just forget all that data. And it's quite an interesting question, that, and quite a good one for one of our pit lane reporters to find out from any of the teams. You've just quoted Müllner, but any of them that race regularly on the Nordschleife.
Yeah.
How different is the car setup for the Grand Prix bit only, as opposed to using the combination of both?
On board with Carlos Rivas, the 888. At the moment, third fastest, but we've only had times from 6 cars right now. And James Kellett already eclipsing the session 1 best. He's on a 56.4. So we saw from Jordan a 58.0, 56.4. What's that? 1.6 seconds faster than James Kellett able to do on his first lap out the pits. That's where you really see a pro driver perform. We saw James last weekend at Spa, of course, driving a BMW at Spa, so having to jump aboard a different type of machine in this in this 911. It's called a GT3 Cup car, but it's not a GT3 regulation car, just to confuse matters.
Yeah, it's almost a slight misnomer, slightly misleading. And it is interesting they just pointed out there that Ben, that's 56.4. He did that car did a 58.8 in its quali 1. Therefore, its average already is a 57.6.
Yeah, so you're going to see the fastest lap time on the left-hand side of your screen there. You're not going to see the average lap time. So we'll just see who's fastest in each session. And Kellett is already on a better lap time. He's got a little bit of traffic here coming in towards the final turn. I think the traffic is his about to say his teammate. It's the Müllner Motorsport car.
Yeah, it's giving a bit of a tow, though, isn't it? That's going to be helpful, actually, across the line, Ben.
And he has a 56.2, so chops another 0.2 of a second on the flashers to Conrad ahead of him. Interesting that they are on a more conventional racing line into the braking zone there. We saw some of the little cars and the prototypes missing those bumps in the braking zone and sitting more in the middle of the road.
Kellett sweeping wide to the left-hand part. It's a tight right-hander part there, then sticking up right behind the Müllner Motorsport car. That tow down the pit straight was helpful. I'm sure, I'm not saying that gave him the lap time, but it certainly didn't detract from it. He now wants to get past that and get clear of that Müllner car. So, and if he can't, he won't. And there we go, it's right on time. Kellett's backed out of it and just said, right, I can't make any gain on this now. So you're now sitting in dirty air behind the Müllner Motorsport car. Absolutely no point. You're just wearing out the tyres. There's no point. So acquiesce, pull out of the lap and reset.
Yeah, traffic giveth and traffic then taketh away. He really needs to...
He's got half the session to go as well. Sorry, Ben.
Plenty of time, yeah, plenty of time. And
yeah, but drivers don't think like that. You've got loads of time, loads of time. No, I want a time. I want a good time. No, you've got lots of it. Don't worry. It's...
And to be fair, he is in this session being compared as a car that has semi-pros and pros. He is being compared here to quite a few amateur drivers in our lineup of 15 cars. The Aspes Racing Naughty Cupra Leon Racer has gone back out onto circuit again, by the way. And I think they are...
That's the 102 Asbest car?
Yes.
Yes.
And both 101 and 102 are running old tyres as well. So they're not even using new tyres for these sessions.
What's the thinking behind that? Why are they...
They're not necessarily needing to go for performance, and they've always, certainly in my experience, they don't necessarily rate qualifying that importantly for the sake of cost, you know. On board then with Jean-Paul Domassini.
This is in the Giselle Technology course 920 entry. That's a 992 class, so 911 GT3 Cup car.
Wow, James Kellett has brought his car into the pits. So he really is going to preserve those tyres. You know, he said at the start of the session, not much point in taking too much life out of the tyres because you need them for the race. Well, bare minimum, I think, from Kellett. And had he... had he not got caught in traffic, maybe would have gone for another lap, but had that traffic in sector 1, and so fastest in the session, he is not concerned that he's going to be eclipsed by anyone behind him. And I think he's got right to not to worry. He is over a second clear of the rest of the field. Conrad Leveau, second fastest. Luke Breukers third fastest. Carlos Rivas fourth. Then this car we're riding on board with. Then Nicholas Jonsson, Sylvain Pastorius in the other Mulliner Motorsport 904 machine. And that wonderful noise and whine of the transmission from the Chagel Technologies Porsche we ride on board with. He has a little bit of traffic, but and he misses the apex as well round that right-hander, heading down the hill in the final part of the lap. Presumably flat out, yeah, easy flat out through the kink at the bottom of the hill. Round the back of the paddock, he now rises back up the hill and towards what is a third to fourth gear flick left and right, and the car ahead of him, I think, which is the 888 Seb Lejoux Racing Porsche, getting out of the way. And he goes to try and complete this lap. Will it be an improvement? I don't think it will be, actually. He's done 3 less good sectors, but Nicholas Jonsson is an improver in the RPM racing machine that's just come out of shots. He's the next car to come across the line, and Jonsson goes 7th. James Kellett has probably unwrapped himself out of that car. All done and dusted. Happy days. And he'll be handing over to, I think he said Stephen was getting into the car.
He did.
So that is Stephen Gambrell to set the do the final session. So expect 924 in the final session, where we may see some other pro drivers. Yes, they have a big advantage now, average-wise. And actually, it's not that big, is it? It's only average-wise 0.3 of a second between HRT and Mulliner, and they are then only hundredths of a second ahead of the Kia Racing Ligier. That doesn't matter too much because that's a different category of car. So Red Camels coming into the pit lane, they are third, and they are about half a second back actually from our leading 2. But don't expect HRT to be able to hold on to that pole position. 3 minutes and 15 seconds still remaining. And we still have about half the field out there, including this Ligier, which gets a little bit squirrely on the brakes. Does Gino Roccillo get it slowed down? He does. Hooks up the right-hand apex at the start of the lap. And then this used to be called the Mercedes Arena. I'm not entirely sure whether they've continued to keep that branding on it, but
it does vary from different events, but it's normally called the Mercedes Arena. I was doing exactly that while checking some of the names, because they do actually, I guess it depends on commercial contracts on each occasion, and certainly no desire to not mention the correct sponsor's name of a corner. I get used to old names, and I definitely don't like turn 1, turn 2, turn 3. That's an easy way of doing it. It's just a bit low-hanging fruit. I think they've got names for a good reason. But it's Dunlop curve down at the bottom, and then the Michael Schumacher S and Vorsteiner curve all the way up to...
I think the Michael Schumacher S is the only corner on the lap not to be branded. And I was sort of under the impression that the confusing thing is, I think Michael Schumacher designed the final chicane when Formula One came back to the Nürburgring, but the corner isn't named after him. He's actually has the sweeping uphill left-right-hander as the corner which has named after him. Am I making any sense at all?
No.
No.
So what are you talking about? Sorry, so
you come through Dunlop Curve and up the hill.
Yes, Michael Schumacher S.
Michael Schumacher S. But he designed the chicane at the end of the lap, which we've just seen on the screen.
NGK chicane.
Which has obviously got a sponsorship name as well.
Yes.
But he actually designed that one. He didn't design the other one, but he's named after the other one. Get it?
Yes.
Good. Glad you do. But yes, the reason why it's tricky to know what names to call things is because they change depending on who's paid for them every year. Very direct line from the Ligier into the first turn. That's sometimes called the Yokohama S's, but it's obviously not an S for this weekend because we do the full Mercedes Arena. Whereas, actually, that's the difference, isn't it, in the Nürburgring 24 hours? They use the arena as parking. So they don't do the full Mercedes Arena on the 24 hours?
No, they do. They just do the
cut.
Yeah, they cut through, so they turn. So we turn right at the very first part, which is the. They don't use the Mercedes Arena, so you have to look at the track map. There's a right, left very quickly, and come straight down into.
It's sort of the original design, the first design.
When it was Südschleife.
Okay.
Because you had the South Circuit and the North Circuit.
But there's also a Südschleife on this circuit.
Yes,
which is shorter than
even more
this one.
confusing. Exactly. Yeah. So yes, you've got the start straight, and then where we turn hard right now and sweep around into that left of the Mercedes Arena on the 24-hour circus, they cut through their left and then drop all the way down. But in some of the NLS races, they go through the Mercedes Arena and then turn right and don't use the Dunlop bit down at the bottom, turn right on the hairpin back. So cut out Dunlop curve, Michael Schumacher S, come in the other side and come back up for the RTL curve or the Vorsteiner curve or whoever's sponsoring it that weekend.
Yes, that was that's basically the national circuit, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah,
yes.
That's what is cool. So that session is done, by the way. Not much change from last time we checked in to the 992 category. Checker flag is out. We've still got 2 cars out on circuit from Not Only Motorsport and Asbes Racing. But they are done and dusted. So we can go down to the pit lane and hear from Sarah once again.
Just quickly, I did have a quick chat with James Kellett when he came back in. He said they were aware of the combined time being very, very close. But based on what happened in Spa, where there were a lot of yellow flags during qualifying, they wanted to get out early and get the lap time in. Anyway, we're with Keo. Welcome to the grid, to the GTX category. Kevin Madsen and Adrian Kunzel, is that said correctly? Wonderful to have you here. And I've been talking to you through the weekend so far, and you're just really loving being here and being able to join the series at an iconic track.
Definitely. I mean, the Nürburgring is legendary. Half my family is German, so this is cool to be in Germany. Then my other side is Danish, and we're the Danish race team with KO Racing. So I'm just having a blast. And Adrian and I, we travel to a lot of cool tracks, and we're having a lot of fun together.
Well, that's wonderful to hear. Talk about the car. I mean, it's new to you, new to the team. How is it working and sort of bedding it in? How are the test days?
They've been going okay. You know, it's a new car, so you get what you kind of expect. We've been working through a bunch of issues. Kevin did a test day earlier. That gave us some information as well. I think we've got it to a pretty great place. So, congrats to the team. Thanks to Ligier. Ligier's been doing a great job here with us. We got it to a good place that I think we feel it's going to be good for the 12 hours.
And what were some of those issues?
Oh, all sorts, things leaking, settings not right, trying to get the cameras set up, trying to get the data feeds, it's the usual stuff. That's a new car.
Absolutely. Well, one thing, I've seen a few of the drivers have been sneaking off through the weekend to go and have a quick whip around the Nordschleife. Have you done that?
I haven't been over there. I've been over there a lot. I spent quite a bit of time here back when I was younger, so we were thinking about it. But like Adrian said, we've been a little bit busy getting this thing dialed in, and we're happy with where it's at now. But yeah, not too much time over there. But we'll come back and we'll do the full thing at some point.
Well, good luck for the rest of the weekend. Looking forward to following your story.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Always great to have new faces, new brands, new cars, and Creventic's so open-armed, if that's a thing. To welcoming new people and finding a way that they can go racing, because there is a place for the weird and wonderful race car here. We've previously had Silhouette V8 Australian machines. We had a very strange prototype Norma, I think it was, last year at Paul Ricard, which should have really been in the Prototype Cup. Such was the design of the car. It was incredibly fast. And they got bopped to oblivion, so they could they could race the Vortex. I think they had half the amount of horsepower they would normally have. Such was the car. But you've got a BMW knocking around, an E36 or something like that. We've seen them come and join us at Barcelona. I'm thinking of you, Kevin Clark, and we saw them at Spa, I think, last year, and obviously there on the jacks, the Seat Leon Cupra Racer. It's got the Cupra badge on it. I'm not sure when it was first designed, That was a Cupra badge on the front there. I'm pretty sure that was a Seat Leon badge. But we'll find out how old that car is and what its history is, because it is definitely verging on historics. If we were doing historic car racing, we'd be telling you about who's driven that car and what it's done and where it was and what livery it was in and all the exciting.
It's a good chance I've driven it if it's historic.
Yeah.
I knew that's where you were going.
No, I'm saving that. All of that stuff.
Okay, you're saving, keeping your powder dry on that one, are you?
It's only Friday.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
We've got to last until Sunday.
What was that? All my racing photographs are black and white?
Yeah.
Yes, I resemble that. Early ones are sepia.
What are crossfly tyres? Please explain.
I'll tell you in a few weeks' time at Silverstone when we do the BREC Classic on crossfly tyres again and drum brakes.
I wish they'd never invented anything other. It makes racing much more interesting.
It is hilarious, I will say that.
Oh, yeah. That's what it should be. Motorsport should be fun. A quick look, actually, between the Cupra TCR car, which would have been built to early TCR regulations, so that would have been 2016 or so. The named Seat Leon Cupra Racer doesn't look massively different, actually. But it isn't... I don't think it's a TCR car. The very first TCR car was a Seat Leon. That was the one that was presented to the World Touring Car Championship grid in Salzburg in 2016. I know that because, number one, I was there, but number two, I had to be the pit reporter and commentator for the World Touring Car race that weekend because the World Touring Car commentator had to leave at the last minute. So it was a bit of a challenge to do both. And poor old Matt Neal got left in his commentary box on his own. But yes, that car was presented to the media world as the brand new regulation set that was going to replace World Touring Cars, which it never did. And that TCR had to have its own championship whilst World Touring Cars went on a different trajectory, let's say. Why don't we have a TC1? Where's Rob Huff? He's got a TC1 car. And so is Tom Chilton. They could come and race them here. Could have a load of very expensive TC1 carbon fibre touring cars racing around in the TCE category.
I'm not sure Rob Huff needs to be offered any more opportunities to drive a race car any weekend anywhere in the world.
He
seems to be in things all the time.
It might not do more than 20 minutes because the fuel tank's probably pretty small. But that'd be cool to see, wouldn't it? We are not far away from the next session beginning. We're slightly on delay, of course, because of that first session problem. But I would imagine the lights will turn green at the end of pit lane in maybe 10 seconds or so to get the third part of qualifying done. And then our 3 qualifying sessions for these categories all over and done with, grid set. Then we will focus our attentions on GT3. There we go. Green light at the end of pit lane. Unfortunately for everybody else, they have to follow the TCR front-wheel drive out of pit lane, but I imagine he will quickly scamper out of their way. So Stephen Gambrell is the AM driver in 928. Martin Rump is in the 921 Molnar Motorsport machine. Martin Rump being a semi-pro Estonian driver, and Stephen Gambrell being the AM, or one of the AMs, in that pole position holding car right now. So expect a big change there. Waiting to see who they put in the Red Camels Jordan machine, whether it's going to be Rick or Ivo. I'm guessing. And Seb Lejeune is in the 888. So we've got a lot of semi-pro drivers in this session, apart from Stephen Gambrell, who is rated as an AM. So it's going to be a big effort from Stephen if he wants to try and hold on to the pole position in 992. It is an AM category car because it has 2 AMs, Igor Sorokin, 3 AMs. Igor Sorokin, Jonathan Kearney, who we haven't seen, and Stephen Gambrell. Oh, Martin! Whoa. He nearly had an enormous accident there. Through the Schumacher S's. Snowy, I know you're looking down. Have a look at this. The bumps completely unsettled the 992. And the back end broke away. Obviously not got the temperature in the tyres whatsoever. he was so lucky to gather that up.
When you look at the amount of steered angle of left lock he had on through a right-hander there, that tells you how much the back had skipped out over that curve to try and catch it. That was armful. So, although it's kept him in touch, I'm going to say that was the Kellett car, wasn't it? The previously driven Kellett car in the previous session,
and
just pulled out of the way.
That's sensible from Stephen Gambrell. So
yeah.
Stephen's let him through. He knows that Martin Rump is the stronger driver. He is now latched onto the rear wing. He is not going to be held up because Martin is going to be faster, but he's going to be dragged around the circuit, and this should be a mega lap.
If we kept to get dragged off the circuit on the previous lap of Martin Rump, yes.
Don't follow him too closely, just in case. Already a bit of understeer from Stephen Gambrell through the first couple of turns. I think he kept the wheels. You have to keep your wheels through turn 4 on the curb, not necessarily on the full track, and so that will be a track infringement ping from Stephen Gambrell there, because he was all 4 wheels off on the exit of turn 4, and that might have thrown away a really good opportunity here. He's able to stay with Martin Rump as we get our way down to the bottom of the hill to the Dunlop
to an extent, it's putting out a gap already. It's already 5 car lengths, and Martin Rump will have been extra careful on this lap after that little moment on the previous one. He's come up through the Dunlop hairpin now up to the Schumacher S. It was the next part of the circuit where he got it a bit wild. Or was it? No, it was here, wasn't it?
There, yeah.
It was there in the middle of the Schumacher S. A little bit more circumspect there this time, and it's tyres work best when they're in contact with the tarmac.
Well, I wonder whether it was just simply a low pressure thing and he just got way more rebound than he was expecting.
I think it caught him out,
yeah,
basically.
Absolutely.
Yes. It did a hop, skip and jump in the middle of the corner, didn't it? It was like, oh, different discipline. You thought he was doing the long jump.
Well, yeah.
It was a triple jump in the middle.
Cross has been run down there at one given point. So Gambrell losing a second in the first sector and just shy of a second in the second sector, so this is going to be a big chunk of difference between our leading 2 cars, basically sharing a similar part of the racetrack. Round to the final turn comes Martin Rump. Fastest time that we've seen is in the 56s. Rump can only do a 57.1.
Yeah, it's 57.1 though, it's just there, yes.
But that is good enough to put him on provisional pole position at the moment. What about Rick Breukers though? Rick Breukers is in the 909. And he'll be doing a big lap. Here is a replay. That's track limits there from Stephen Gambrell. All 4 wheels over the white line. Now, hasn't been announced yet, so we've spotted it, but Race Control haven't yet.
Well, you say that because that's the line all the GT3 cars use throughout the 24 hours. They always go all the way out to the extreme left. It's coming out to the Mercedes arena. So you've got the flowing left-hand middle part, and they flow out to the right, and they all go out to that bit of tarmac there and come back and use it. So
I agree.
I'm sorry, but my rules are track limit to the barriers.
Race driver.
Anything else is fair game. I would say that.
Race driver, behave yourself. Race director told us in the meeting earlier on, so do what he says. The curb is fine.
I can hear Steve Burns shaking his head then. I said, I did that great interview with you at Paul Ricard, and now you throw that at me.
There we go. And it's true that everyone uses that tarmac, but the race direction driver's briefing notes said you can't go over 4 wheels over that white line, even though, as you say, they do. They've been doing it since days zonk. You know, DTM Class 1 cars rattling over that bit of track. Wonderful. As it happens, nobody spotted it, so he's keeping that time. And presumably going against Stephen Gambrell. He is faster in the first sector. He's holding on to second overall.
A little bit of footage here of Seb Lajou in the 888 entry, Seb Lajou Racing, and that just being held up by Cayman on that very part of the track coming out of the Mercedes arena, and the hand gesture just saying you're kind of in my way. Nothing Anglo-Saxon or swearing, but just sort of that frustration of I can't get past the car in front, and not necessarily seeing him in time.
That's an improvement from Gambrell, a 58.0, so their average now within a tenth and a half. I reckon they'll be on the radio to Stephen to keep him pushing him on.
Well, 58.0 is
the lap time, the lap time he's just done, and the average of 57.7 is only a tenth and a half shy of Martin Rump at the head of the field. So it's very, very close. And actually, Rick Breukers now set a lap time.
56.8.
He's gone faster than the 2 ahead of him, and the average has meant that they are super close at the head of the field. That's why the order seems a bit jumbled on the left-hand side there. That's showing the fastest lap in the session, but it's showing the order of their average time. Next car over the line.
Which is really what matters. Obviously, this session contributes to that, but the overall average is what matters at the end. That is the final qualifying positions, and that's what we need to focus on.
So Rick Breukers, here he is with the fastest lap of this session and a purple sector in the first sector. He only needs less than 0.2 of a second to get that car on the pole position. Martin Rump has the pole position right now, but again, Rump is slower than that first attempt. And then you've got Stephen Gambrell, the AM, right in the mix of all this as well, being asked to be pushed on. He only needs to find a tenth or two, depending on what Breukers can do. So HRT and Molnar Motorsport head up towards the final part of the lap. Again, Rump is really pushing. It's not, I don't think it's going to be an improvement, despite the hop, skip and a jump through the final chicane. Runs the curb and a little bit more through the final turn, and it is a slight improvement that moves the bar away, but Gambrell takes 0.4 of a second out of his time. Oh, look how close it is, Snowy. It's 100th of a second between the two of them. And now we have to focus our attention on Rick Breukers, and Breukers has improved his lap time, but he hasn't got any closer either.
So at the moment, the average of the top three, 57.5, 57.5, 57.7 between the top three. That's pretty close.
Separate drives.
Exactly, 3 separate drives, yeah. So got something absolutely right. It works well, doesn't it? The formula works.
There is still 6 minutes remaining, but how many
Rick
of these
Breukers,
drivers?
I think, taking a consolidation lap now by the look of it. But the pace of that car just seems taking it nice and steady, resettling himself.
But you're not really going to get your tyres back, are you?
Well, it depends on what you've done. If you've taken a bit too much out of them, don't forget you've got to use these tyres in the race as well.
Yeah.
So is it worth pushing it for that more? It's the long game you've got to play. So drivers will focus on obviously being the quickest they possibly can on earth that day, because they need to be. That's what happens, because we're all mad. But we have to have that bragging rights. But the team will be saying, right, don't do that. Cool them down. Have a think about it. If you feel there's enough in them. It's risk-reward, isn't it? Do you take too much out of your tyre that you're going to use in the race to get a quicker lap now, to get one position up? And it's a 12-hour race, so, or 2 6-hour, 2 parts. So I've always said, to some extent, not being off the pace, you don't need that. But whether you're on row 2 or row 3 is possibly academic. I'm going to get shot for that, aren't I? But it's a long race. Don't worry about it.
Well,
if you've got onto road 2 or 3 with a lot in hand and you've got race pace is of far more value than a qualifying pace.
Slow laps from everyone out on circuit right now, but interestingly, as you were talking about this sort of slowing down and getting back up to speed again, both Martin Rump and Stephen Gambrell stay on circuit. They want the honour of being on the pole position. Gambrell only needs to find a 100th of a second, or 1500ths of a second to be more precise, to get himself on the pole position if Martin Rump does not improve his lap time. Rump is ahead, Gambrell crawling all over the curbs. It was a bit messy from this Dayglow yellow and black Porsche. By the way, we were watching Philip Hamprecht while you were talking, because he is the fastest man on the circuit. He set a 56.4. So watch out for Hamprecht in race conditions. He's equal to what James Kellett was able to do a little bit earlier on. But has Gambrell got anything left? 56.6, his split through sector 1. That doesn't feel strong enough to me. And he may well have already realised that. Of course, he'll have deltas on his dashboard in the car. He'll know what it is in comparison to his best lap time. There's a bit of dust at the back of shot there. I wonder whether Martin Rump's been a little bit off the circuit. And Rump actually was slightly faster through sector 1. So playing the defensive guard at Molnar Motorsport, the Estonian, with 3 minutes and 10 seconds remaining, not much more time to do anything about it either, as he comes towards our drone at the end of the lap. Flicks left, flicks right, and I think goes straight to pit lane. Yes, he does. I wonder whether we're done. We've still got 3 minutes of track time remaining. I think we should make these sessions 10 minutes rather than 15. And Rump and Gambrell bring their cars into pit lane. So I think we have our pole car.
I guess I think we are done with the top four, aren't we?
Seb Lejeune is out on circuit, but he's not pushing hard either. And really the only green sectors we're seeing on our timing screens are from the TCE cars right at the tail of the field. Here is Seb Lejeune. I think he was also going to nurse this car into pit lane. Yes, he does, yeah. So, by the tiniest of margins, the Michelin Motorsport 921 has the pole position. HRT in second, and Red Camel with Rick Breukers fractionally in third. What a splendid 3 sessions.
Just over 100th of a second, that's all.
Incredible. Of course, Stephen Gambrell has the pole for the AM category. They are different categories. Mulner and Red Camels are in the full fat category. And it's Mulner that's taken both victories in Mugello and Spa. Red Camels getting their last victory at Paul Ricard. And in AM category, it's the HRT 974 that's had the win in both the first and the second of our races. But this car took the victory last time out, the HRT Performance yellow machine. Sisara getting ready down there with Martin Rump. It was a scary start to the session, but it was in the end able to hold on to pole position.
Martin, I know you're debriefing with Conrad. I mean, when you first headed out, can you tell us about that first lap? Got a little pushing to the limits, we could say. Have you forgotten that already?
Well, no, I remember it. The tires were a bit on the cold side, but I was on a mission. Had to get past the car in front, HRT. Thanks for being a good sport for making some room in the last corner. But yeah, the tires were a little bit less pressure than I expected, so I was a bit bouncy there in the Schumacher S.
Well, congratulations again on pole. Can we talk about how important it is? Is it more of like the pride of taking pole? Because obviously you'll be sitting behind the GT3s tomorrow.
Yes, well, whatever really happens exactly in qualifying, it's going to be on come Saturday race day. It's all, main focus is there, obviously, but you want to sort of start the weekend on a good way, and I think it's the best way to start from pole position in any case. It doesn't make it easy, but certainly it's the place where we want to be.
Well, congratulations once again, and a massive team effort. Conrad, wonderful to see you back out here. Talk about the track and the lap. Did you enjoy it out there?
Yeah, really. It's first time for me. I also hit NÜRBURGRING, but the track is much easier than coming from Polo Kart. So for me, it was quite easy to adapt to the track. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Conrad. Joshua, I've heard you're not feeling too well, so we'll just have a really quick word between tomorrow and today and tomorrow. What are you going to do to prepare?
I think for tomorrow, the management of the tire, it's just the question, the key point for win until the end. So let's see tomorrow, but for sure, temperature and tire degradation are very important for us. But I'm really happy with my mate.
Well, it is definitely a team effort. I guess quiet celebrations tonight, so you're feeling on top form tomorrow.
For tomorrow, it's important to manage a good start and to have a good position for Sunday race.
Well, thank you so much to all of you. Michelin Motorsport on pole for the 992.
Spectacular. And very interesting to hear from Martin Rump how important it was to get out and get ahead and clear track. Look how tight it was in qualifying. Michelin Motorsport on the pole position by a 100th and a half, if that's a thing. And Red Camels, Jordan, right there with them as well. Those two have shared victories over the year. Then there's a second gap to the Seb Lejeune 888 machine with the fastest man in qualifying, Philip Hamprecht, in the 907, but the average only good for 5th. Then we have the Chazelle Technologies machine, Van Berlo Motorsport, MM Racing down in 8th spot with the 3 Belgians. And then in 9th spot, we have the 2nd Molnar car. GT4 pole position for the Soul GT4 machine down in 10th. And then TCE, as expected, it's the Ligier on the pole position ahead of the Cayman, with the 2 Cupra Seats down in 13th and 14th. And why on earth did the KO car get dropped to the tail of the field? That's an interesting one. I'll have to clear up on that one, because that car should be right in the mix of the 992 category. But the GTX car of KO Racing being dropped to the back of qualifying and having, by the looks of things, all its lap times disallowed. Oh, it didn't go out in qualifying 3. And it needed to have gone out in qualifying 3 to get an average. Qualifying then for our 992 category, our GT4s, our TCEs and GTX. With 15 cars on the track, plenty of space to get the lap times in, but there were some mistakes here and there in the early part, including our Seat Cupra Racer taking its time to get back into pit lane, which slightly delayed our 2nd session. But at the head of the field, it was Molnar Motorsport, HRT Performance and Red Camels Jordan fighting for an average lap time across 3 separate drivers. And in the end, the gap just 0.2 of a second between 1st and 3rd position. That was Martin Rump nearly losing it at the start of qualifying 3, but he did enough to hold on to pole position, and 921 takes pole. So coming up next, we have qualifying for the GT3 category of cars. And then we will go back to Prototype Cup Europe for their qualifying session, if you are interested in the Prototype Cup. There is Stephen Gambrell saying thank you to everybody down in the pit lane. There is what is happening next. But don't go away, people. Don't think that we're ending. We're not ending. We're carrying on, and we've got the GT3 category coming up in a few moments' time. Qualifying for GT3 due to begin in about 5 minutes' time, so plenty of time to sweep up the stories down in the pit lane and talk to some of the other competitors in the qualifying. Let's go back down to Sarah Esser, who I think has Stephen Gambrell.
Stevie, it looked like you were improving. I asked, are you happy? And you said, not sure, not really. Tell me.
Not sure. So, yeah, I lost out at Sector 3, a big portion on my Delta. So, you know, it was a fine margin at the end there to get overall pole. I know we're in the AM class, but it would have been nice for the team. You know, they put a lot of effort in, and the car is absolutely incredible. It's in such a great spot. So, yeah, I just messed up. Final hairpin there. And lost 4 attempts. So, you know, we would have been overall by quite a good margin. But look, positives. We're pole for AM, so I can't argue with that. And, yeah, like I said, the car's in an amazing place. Strong team, good lineup. So, yeah, all hopes for this race.
All sounds pretty good and all together for the race. We're looking forward to tomorrow. Congratulations for the pole on the 992 AM. I mean, it's always good to know that it was there, right?
I'm still happy. I'm still really happy, really happy. And like I said, guys have done an amazing job. Car's in a great place. We have an amazing engineer. And, yeah, let's go.
Well, rest well tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Still look pretty smiley. Even slightly...
he seemed happy, didn't he?
Yeah, even if he missed out on... I mean, he missed out by the smallest of margins. And if you look at the people he was on circuit with, I think if you take him as an AM, which he is rated as, that is a very, very good performance. Of course, we had the GTX category, we had the GT4 category, we had the TCE category. So poles for well, I suppose you can celebrate the TCE one because that was at least with some other competitors. GT4, just a single BMW.
Pole still a pole. It's on the record books.
Yeah, apart from of course the GTX car, which I think maybe just overlooked the regulations, thinking that, well, we've got 2 drivers, so who else can qualify? But actually, you put in one of those drivers that's done another session, so you get all 3 sessions. And we're going to have that in GT3 as well with the Gwillic's father and son. They do not have a teammate this weekend in this BMW. It's just the 2 of them. And so one of them is going to need to also do the 3rd part of qualifying. They're both rated as AMs, so they're pretty free to do what they wish. But it's the first time we've seen Haas RT with a BMW rather than Audi. Last weekend they were racing Audis at Spa. I don't know how well they ended up with the Audis, but they're now in BMW world. Let's go back to the world of TCE with Sarah.
Well, Gino, Nathan, and sorry, I had them and then you just corrected me on your last name and I completely got lost. But Gino, starting with you, you're just 16 years of age. Yeah. How is it out here and what other things are you racing at the moment?
Yeah, I really like this championship. My first time in this championship. I'm the youngest, I think, from overall drivers. And I really like his first time here in Nürburgring, and I give my best in the qualifying and was a nice lap. So yeah, I'm happy.
And Nathan, talk about the track. What are some of the areas that you have enjoyed around here or do you find challenging?
Yeah, it's a new challenger to be here today. It was a very good lap to my teammates and me for the qualifying after a bad free practice run this morning. So the job is done for today.
And looking ahead tomorrow, you have not only the Asbest Racing up against you in the class. What do you do when you have sort of 3 cars in the same category as you competing against just you as the team?
What we do? Huh?
So you're up against, sorry, the cars are going away, you can't hear me. I said you're competing in a class where you've got 3 cars from one team, essentially. How do you strategize that out when it's just you comparing, up against those 3?
The strategy is difficult. Tomorrow we'll see, because this race we are in 3, like Mugello, and during Spa we are only me and Gino. But the strategy is not only complete because we will see what happened tomorrow, and I don't know, the red flag, I don't know what happens tomorrow, and I don't know, we will see.
Not wishing on a red flag, are you?
No, red flag, no. Stop it, because like for Ricard, it's not a good result, but we are here in Nürburgring, first time for all, and
well, thank you so much, Filippo. Wonderful to have you here, and we'll see you out tomorrow. Congratulations on class pole.
Thank you.
GT qualifying is up and go. Format exactly the same as what we just had in our other qualifying sessions. So 3 drivers, 3 separate sessions. They all get a new set of fresh rubber to play with, and their 3 times get combined to create an average, which should mean massive gaps, shouldn't it? Well, in 992, it proved not to be the case. Tiny gaps between 3.
And I'm going to say it now, get it out of the way for the weekend. I'm deliberately happy because the first car I've seen go out on track is an Aston Martin.
Oh, yes.
There you go. See, it's done now, Ben. Done. The quota's done. That's it.
Well, let's hope they have a better weekend here than they had.
Moving on, Ben. No need for that. Stay with the positive. Accentuate the positives. Come on, my boy.
We've got to get ourselves used to Haas RT running a BMW. I mean, they've done a great job with the livery. Looks a stunning piece of kit. This is the Gwilink family, so Peter and Nicholas. But obviously, for a long time, with their Barbudian, that's the right word, isn't it? No, Antiguan, sorry. Antiguan livery on their Audi. And those, and they actually had 2 of them. One of which was racing last weekend at Spa and didn't finish. I wondered whether they just realised they weren't going to turn around the car, but got themselves a BMW M4. Very different piece of kit, much newer, of course, car. When was this brought out, because it debuted at Creventic, didn't it, before it was homologated, I want to say 3 years ago?
Possibly 4, actually. Yeah, I think you're right. That's basically Ben saying, go and do the research and find out. No, it's fine, mate. It's fine.
No. But, you know, a GT3 car has developed so hugely from 2016-17. The basis, of course, of the Mercedes we're also seeing, to the cars that are built today. The Ferrari 296 GT3 is an out-and-out racer. Interesting quotes from Ben Keating over the week saying that GT3 cars should be out-and-out racer cars. He likes the direction that they're going. He doesn't think they should be road cars for the racetrack. But then you look at back in when Snowy had normal coloured hair, and the GT3 cars that, you know, started. Well,
you weren't born then, though. No, when I raced cars that were called GT1 cars.
Yeah, exactly. And how cool! And the GT3 was obviously a support category to that, and they were road cars converted to race cars. These days, that's not the truth. There's no relationship between a 296 GT3 car race car and its road-going compatriot, other than the shape and the name. But they don't share components like they once did. And of course now we have GT3, which is the headline category, and GT4 or GT2, which are road-going cars made into race machines, unless you don't have a road car, and then you just make a race machine like Brabham or Ginetta, when in the likes of GT, well, actually in both. So getting our first qualifying session up and running, we've got the AM drivers aboard 15 GT3 cars, a nice healthy entry, considering also just how many other GT3 races we've got going on.
I was actually right, it was 2022, it was 4 years ago this GT4 car came out.
Thank you very much.
3 car came out, M4, yes.
Well done for checking.
And you say upgraded version last year, the Evo last year in 2025. So its lineage is 2019 it was being developed, 20 it was hit the track for the first time, 21 it was officially revealed to the public, 22 began competing, and then 3 years later, last year, 2025, it had a Evo edition. I'd love to find out the reasoning as to why Haas RT have gone and bought one of these, and after their venerable times with R8 LMS. There will be reasonings for it. We can guess and second guess, but they've made a decision for it, and I think it'd be something for the girls in the pit lane to go and find out at some point what's their thinking, why have they chosen to go that route from also from a mid-engine car to a front-engine car, very different setup. None of their engineers will be used to that. It's a whole different thing. Obviously they're capable of it, but it's quite a switch. So I'll be intrigued to see what their thinking is.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know exactly, but broadly, I imagine GT3 cars are similarly priced. There'll be more expensive ones and cheaper ones, but ultimately, you want to go with GT3 racing, you have 10 to 12 cars available to you that would be homologated, and okay, maybe, this one came up and it was a good deal, like I'm doing at the moment, trying to buy boats and cars that are good deals. One gets offered to you, all right, I'll take it. But ultimately, if you want to be competitive, then I imagine you do your research, like Max Verstappen did, of course. We went and raced all of the different models. He chose that the Ferrari would be good in sprint race formats, but around the Nordschleife for the Mercedes would be a better car to have. And that is why he's ended up Verstappen.com have a different car to what he raced, and the endurance car is a Mercedes and the sprint car is a Ferrari, because he believes that those are the best cars for those individual formats.
To the car that he raced in the sprint race with Chris Lulland the first time when they won the first NLS race he did, but then of course for the 24-hour he switched to the GT3 Mercedes, totally different beast.
Yeah.
Half a million euros you're looking at roughly, obviously competitively priced these against different manufacturers, but roughly €500,000 for one of these GT3 cars, Evo or whatever area. That's roughly what they cost to buy, not to run.
Not to run.
And even more to repair. I'm enunciating carefully.
And the best thing to do when needing spares is not to buy the individual spares, it's just to buy another car. So there you go, that gives you an idea of the commitment that teams and owners, because some teams don't necessarily own their cars, they'll have owners. That's what you need to do to go competitive GT3 racing. Pocket money. Getting to the sharp end of this first session, and it is this car of Stephen Jans, the Get Speed team JR286, which is just at the fastest time, a 54.7, and the other Get Speed car, which has been very strong, down in third position with Jordan Boisson driving it. We pick up the Ajid Redant machine, which is car 93, also a Mercedes, and Ayrton Redant, 7th fastest. As another Mercedes of Dominic Ang from the Viper Nisa Malaysian team goes up into 2nd position. And Konstantin Dressler in his Porsche, who set the early pace in this session, now dropping down into 3rd spot. But still plenty of improvements, as you would expect from this particular session, where you have the lesser experienced drivers. They take longer to maximize themselves and the cars and the lap time. And oddly, the Santalok Junior team has yet to set a lap time. No, they haven't. They've just done it now, and they go straight into 3rd position. So that's a great effort from Stefan Trabodini. He shares that car with 4 other drivers. He's got 2 other AMs in Ernst Inzebitsen and Michael Doppelmayr, and then Alea Earhart and Pierre Kaffer we'll see in the second 2 parts of qualifying, I imagine. But this is an interesting car, the 286, not a Get Speed car that I'm familiar with. Have you seen this machine, Ricard?
I don't think it was. It's Get Speed team JR286, isn't it?
Yeah, so Patrick Liddy, Tanner Harvey, and Jonathan Hirschberg.
And Steve Jans, I've got in it.
And Steve Jans, who's aboard it now,
yes,
with the fastest lap time. To Get Speed, of course, German team, but it does sound as though that is a very American-focused car. Patrick Liddy, I seem to remember we have had him racing here as part of CP Racing before. If you remember, we, for a long time, welcomed CP Racing. Interesting side-by-side action, unnecessary side-by-side action out on circuit between, that's the era Ferrari and an Audi of Santalok, that now is running very, very slowly. Is it just trying to get out of the way? I think perhaps it had caught the Gulf liveried number 29, which is the Pellin Racing Ferrari, sorry, and got caught up massively. That is the car that is at the moment slowest, with Lisa Clark aboard. 2:04.2 is her fastest time. Jordan Boisson now goes to the head of the times. We've got Mercedes, Mercedes, Mercedes right now. Boisson racing last weekend at Spa 24 Hours with Get Speed. And so it is a Get Speed 1-2.
So my apologies, the Get Speed team JR286 did run a Paul Ricard, and really quite successfully as well, had a strong running, but it's a European team that's now run predominantly. Team JR286 is a separate team that runs Road to Le Mans, that kind of stuff in Europe. They've got together with Team Get Speed to make the two, to conflate the two and focus on 24-hour series. So obviously using Get Speed to use their endurance experience, if you like, rather than the shorter events. So that's what they're doing.
And now find themselves in a little bit of traffic here with the Hofer Mercedes down in 14th position with Chantel aboard that car. So we've got 2 ladies.
Our outright winner at Ricard.
Okay.
And a surprise winner, in as much as we didn't think they were in, as in we thought the other Get Speed car of Engel pack, and the others were going to be the winners, but a couple of code 60s and something that Hoffa did, which was we may want to keep a look out for this event, Ben. It's 2 6-hour races, obviously part Ferme rules overnight. What Hoffa did, Ricard, was at the end of that first 6-hour stint, first hour race, it had been, everyone was keeping their cards close to the chest, they weren't really showing their hand until the Sunday part two of the race. But what Hoffa did was they came in at the very end and literally did not a splash and dash, but they filled that car surprisingly right at the end of that first 6-hour stint. And we were all a little bit surprised. We thought, well, if that plays into their hands, and of course to let them start, you've got to start part favourite rules, you've got to start part 2 race under exactly the same conditions. They were able to do that, and they had a full tank of fuel set of tyres. They got a longer stint in, which just popped them up the order bit, and then when there was code 60s at the end of that race, all of a sudden they could play the game, and they literally just snatched it away from. And I said to Engel, I said, "How come?" And he said, "They just played it better than us." And he said, "And code 60s helped." He said, "That's racing." Yeah, it's just that's it.
No Maro Engel here this weekend. He's in DTM duty, so. I
was going to say, he won't be having a weekend off, will he? He'll be driving something somewhere.
It does mean that he's been replaced in the car by Michael Grenier for this weekend. So they still do have their Mercedes Pro at that Get Speed car with Patrick Charlier, the AM Spirit, Jordan Poisson, the AM, and Benji Pack, the Semi-Pro, on board with Dwight Merriman, who is the AM and team owner of ERA.
And watching Benji Pack at Ricard, that's a Semi-Pro with a Pro speed.
Oh, yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Even last weekend at Spa 24 Hours, incredibly fast. We did see Jordan Poisson get held up by Chantal Prince on that final lap, so maybe could have gone faster. It was only a tenth faster than Steve Jans, who has ended up in the session in second position. Stefan Trebadini here third at the moment, but this might be a lap. This might be a lap for pole position. You're not going to get to see the little sectors on the bottom of the screen, but I can see they're both purple, and this could be an Audi snatching provisional fastest time while the checkered flag is out, and he does by a tenth of a second. Let's just double check that it doesn't get taken away from him for track limits. But at the start of a session that was slow to get going, I wonder whether he waited to come out late so that he could maximize the track conditions with the less used tyre. Konstantin Dressler in the Proton competition Porsche was fastest at the start of the session. He has done 6 laps, whereas Trebadini's only done 5, and this will be a 7th lap. So Dressler has used quite a bit of his tyres, but if he can find a couple more tenths, and he does have a green first sector of the lap, he'll cut the beam for the second sector any moment now, and this could well be an improvement. It's not going to be enough for the pole position, but Proton competition once again towards the final turn, around and running the curb a little bit more towards the line, and he does improve. And snatches 4th position from Dominic Ang by 0.02 of a second. It doesn't necessarily count for so much, because they're going to park these cars, we're going to put new tyres on them, install new drivers, and go for qualifying number 2. Dressler had the purple final sector as well, so faster than anybody else through that final sector by 0.2 of a second over this Audi of Stefan Trebadini. I think this might be the only, oh no, we do have the one other Audi. I was about to say the only Audi, but there's 2 others, the Jutta Racing and the Simpson Motorsport Audis. So we do have 3. But 5 Mercedes AMG GT3s, which are going to be replaced next year. Of course, you will still be able to run this older version, and you can guarantee and know that here at Creventic we will see that car for many years to come. Somebody missing the pit lane. who was that coming round the final turn? It was Lisa Clark. Now, she's already taken the checkered flag, so that is going to be another slap wrist from race control, because she's taken the checkered flag twice, which will almost, well, it won't necessarily delay our next session, because she's not driving a touring car like we saw in the early sessions, but she will get told off. Michelin Racing with Carl Marcelli, Jeff Westphal and Massimo Perina as their other drivers. And there is the Golf liveried machine. Next session is due to kick off actually in just 2 minutes' time. So did we start this session late? I can't remember. It does feel as though the gaps between sessions are a little bit tighter than we saw in the previous session, probably because we don't need as much time to get everyone back into the pits. But either way, high fives all round for Stefan Trebodini, the fastest man in that first session with a 1:54.364. He came out of the pits later than most and banged in the lap time when he needed to. Couldn't see exactly who he was talking to there with regards to the congratulations, but I'm sure we'll get his helmet off and have a chance to talk to him before the next session gets underway. That's Era coming into the pits. We've still got to get the Michelin Ferrari back in there. Not going to have very much time to turn around that car before the start of the next session, are they? But it's all on them. And there's plenty of time actually in session. Let's go down to Carla, who has the fastest person.
The fastest man on the track for now. That was rapid. What did you do in that last lap that pushed you up on that P1?
Yeah, it was not easy because we go quite late on the quali. And finally, on my second push, my normally best lap, I had a Ferrari really slow in front. I tried to overtake, but it was risky. So I lift. I knew I had only one more chance. So it's not the best condition when you know you have one lap to do it. So I was really pushing, but also keeping the limit. So I'm really happy because it's not easy to do the best lap when you know you have one chance. So no, I'm really happy. The car is amazing to drive. And I love also the track. So no, very happy.
You did really mess with those Mercedes up there because they were really keeping those upper positions, and out of nowhere you showed up. I think if I saw correct, it's Elia taking over the car right now. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's Elia and Pierre at the end.
Okay, fantastic. So I'm pretty sure we will get a lot of more good action from those guys. You relax now. You will probably be a bit nervous watching. Thank you very much. I will make sure that we get into the next action of the qualifying. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Carlo Velti taking over in pit lane, and we have a tractor on track. So we are going to have a delay in the next session. And we can't blame it on Michelin Racing. There is actually a
just a little bit of gravel cleaning, as you can see on the Michael Schumacher S there. Just get the tractor out and sweep all the gravel away. There's cars dragged a load over, so it's suboptimal, shall we say, for adhesion for the cars. So that's it's just being cleared away. The big brush angled at a set amount of degrees to literally, it isn't just pushing it forward, it pushes it to one side logically. So we've got, is that the Audi, one of the Audis at the end of the pit lane?
Looks like it.
Looks like it. I'm so used to seeing the Haas RT colours, I can't identify that one off the top of my head very immediately. Is it the Santalot Junior car?
No. That is the one car it definitely isn't, because we saw that in the previous session. But it definitely doesn't look like a Jutta or a Continental by Simpson Motorsport. But then I haven't been here for 6 months, so I'm not entirely sure. Let's go back down to Carla, who's got some more chat.
I want to chat with the man that was just in a brand new BMW of Haas, Nicholas. How was that first qualifying session in that car?
Now it was really, really good, I must say, because the test days I was struggling a bit with the new car and adapting, but now and the team also said really, really good. But it's now with the new car, it's really, you have to drive drive really chill. With an Audi, it was really aggressive, and now you have to drive like it's made of glass. It's a really big difference, but I'm happy.
Why do you have to drive it like it's made of glass? Is there a certain aspect to a new car that you have to drive it differently, or is it really the difference between the Audi that you had before and the BMW you have now?
The main difference is the engine, of course. It's in the front now, and in the Audi it was in the rear. So that's a lot of difference in the balance of the car, and that you have a lot of more understeer at the BMW, but I kind of like it. But with the Audi, I couldn't say that's better or that's better. It's just a different car.
The BMW normally is a car that feels very comfortable here around the Nürburgring. Is that something that you can confirm? Does it feel like home driving that car here on the Nürburgring?
Yeah, the car gives a lot of confidence, also in the Schumacher S. With the Audi, it's sometimes a little bit tricky, but now the car gives a lot of confidence. Wow. The car gives a lot of confidence, and it's also, yeah, it's the first time for me driving here, and I must say it's nice.
Fantastic, and as we just heard, it sounds fantastic as well. Thank you very much, and good luck for the rest.
Thank you.
It was a new Jutta Racing Audi that was sitting first at pit out.
That's why I didn't recognise it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's
new colours to me.
Definitely new colours for Jutta since I last saw it. Nicholas Willink is sounding more and more like a pro racing driver every time we speak to him. I don't, unless I'm getting myself really confused, I'm pretty sure he's only been competitive racing for a year. Paul Ricard, around this time last year, had his first laps in the GT3 Audi and started the day 25 seconds off the pace, ended the day about 7 seconds off his dad, and had his first steps in the Audi. And now he's able to talk about understeer and oversteer and what a car feels like in comparison to another car, how the Audi is different to the BMW, and articulating it beautifully. I do hope that he's not just going to do this for fun, and he's able to push his competitive and professional limits on that one, because very, very impressive.
Well, this second session provides us with the first opportunity to see where things start to balance out. We've got one set of times. I know it sounds really, so we've got an amalgamation of 3 sets of times. So the first session is just, there it is, that's what it looks like. This order gives our first sort of variance, doesn't it, Ben, of who might actually move the order around, because we get the times from the last session, this session, but on the left-hand column we get the amalgamation as well, which is the average, if you like, of those two. So that can actually change the order around, not that which you see on the track, because you have different grade drivers, different pace, different experience in those teams. And then, of course, we'll have another session after this one, another 15 minutes, and that's when we'll get the final bits. That one's a little bit more jeopardy involved in this one.
And if you want to put a pro in, now you can, if you have a pro or a semi-pro. In the first session, you have to run your lower graded driver, and for the most part, that would be an AM or an AM Plus. I don't think there are any full semi-pro lineups in GT3, but yeah, so now we're going to see lap times definitely go south of the 1:54, the fastest lap from Stefan Trebedini. I mean, even then, it's a bit mad, really, to say that Stefan Trebedini is an AM, because he's certainly a very capable driver. Watching very sexy Porsche here in carbon black, run by Up2 Racing. Fabian Gross is aboard that car at the moment. Tim Heinemann and Oleksiy Kikereshko are the 2 other drivers in that car. We saw Kikereshko in the first part of the session. Tim Heinemann will be the pro in the third part of the session, and that's why we didn't see it, but it is very good looking in that naked black. I imagine you are a keen fan of a car with not much livery on it, Snowy. A colour is all we need, darling.
Well, exactly, but livery adds weight.
Yes?
Yeah, just leave it nude carbon, I believe is the phrase.
Is it?
Yes.
My favourite. It is, it's just wonderful. I don't know if technically that 8.8 Porsche is fully nude. It might be a black wrap, but well, that's something completely different again. That's what I was listening to on my way up here. Right.
Yeah, that's a musical taste for you. Yes.
A musical taste, yeah, or not. Saying Lisa Clark is still aboard the Pellin Racing Ferrari, which I think is unlikely, but the driver ID has not been reset. So showing a 54.9, which is nearly the fastest time out there. We're following the Proton competition Porsche of Manuel Lauck, and he comes across the line a 1:55.1. Just a reminder that the column on the left-hand side will show the time of the driver in the car right now, but it will be the order of the overall, taking into consideration the previous session as well. And we expect this car to do very, very well with Jake Hill aboard. Dwight Merriman setting the time in the first session, so it is now up to Jake and presumably Ryan DL to get that car up as high as it possibly can go. And really is all about the combination. You are only as strong as your weakest link. And that applies to anything, really. Just seen that Ajit Kumar, Red Ant Racing Mercedes, losing a lap time. And Yannick Redeyne's aboard that car. It popped briefly up to the fastest lap time and then disappeared. Jake Hill has the fastest lap time of this session, though, a 53.8. So already eclipsing what we saw in the previous session. It still looks pretty under control. Doesn't look on the limit and lively. But of course that car will be set up to cater for Dwight and make sure it's nice and compliant for the amateur driver. And so it won't be as edgy as if there was a pro driver in it.
Yeah, it's always the rules. Set it up for the man who's paying type philosophy in sports car racing. That's what you're trying to do. I'm not suggesting the era have necessarily had to do that, but that is the sort of philosophy of it. And Jake will probably get a little bit more out of this car. Currently P8. Of course, we're talking about Jake Hill here being the 2024 touring car champion. Yes, it was. Yes, because yeah, 2024 already. 2026. Can't believe that. And switched from British touring cars to GT racing, and has taken to it like a duck to water. And you know, class is class. We've seen him racing in the UK at Goodwood at Revival and members meeting and all sorts of different things, and having some fantastic battles. And can certainly, I think he could probably pedal a wheelbarrow quite quickly, as could many other people on this grid of professional drivers.
Had that last lap time disallowed, I think.
Probably for track limits then.
Because it was a 53.2, but Michael Grenier on a 53.7 is being shown as the fastest lap time. So that would assume as though they took away that last lap time. Although no notifications from race control, it just got deleted. And I noticed that happening in the last session as well. Times would disappear, but with no explanation. We ride on board, continuing around the circuit, and there's no, going back to that point about setting the car up for the gentleman driver, there is no point setting the car up to be good for the fastest driver, because that would take away so much confidence from the AM. They would barely be able to drive it and likely throw it off the road because it will be set up in such an aggressive manner. So much
well, that's
better.
Right, super stiff and whatever. That's fine if you're a professional race car driver that's used to driving cars like that and spend your weekends there and paid to do that. That's fine. Whereas your AM driver, you've got to remember they've built and running businesses during the week, and they come and do this for fun. They want to be competitive. They want to be as close to their other drivers as they possibly can, and that's part of the pro driver's role in these teams with AMs, is to be a coach towards them and to get them near it. It works for everybody, but that's one of the beauties of this sort of racing. It is really team spirit amongst the drivers. But you say you could set a car up in a way that they'd find it absolutely undrivable in some cases. You do have exceptions who are very, very good, but it's got to be a compliant car for the team to drive, plus an endurance race, because in that endurance you're going to have different tyre wear and different fuel loads. So there's going to be many, many litres of fuel on board that car at some points, and considerably less at others. So the car again will handle differently, and your less experienced driver, I don't always like the term AM, but the less experienced driver has got to be taught that by the pro, what's going to change how the car drives differently so they can cope with it, because it's to everybody's benefit.
Lovely slipstream from Fabio Gross coming over the start and finishing line there and registering a lap time of 53.8 in his 88 Porsche. Grenier is fractionally the fastest man on the circuit with a 53.2.0, but Jake Hill did a 53.36, which was registered. So the track limit infringement, a tenth faster, but he has a legitimate time just a tenth slower than that on the board, but the average is only good enough for 9th position right now. Grenier holds on for Get Speed Team PCX on the pole position, and he's gone purple again. Looks like he might get to the final couple of corners and improve this time further. Could it be in the 52s? Nobody anywhere close to that. And once again, a Mercedes Pro showing what he can do. We've seen it from Maro Engel all year long, and now the Canadian driver gets a 52.7. Actually, I think that got taken away. Yep. No, it's saying fastest lap there, but my timing screen doesn't agree any longer. I don't know what's going on. My timing screen has decided to freeze, perhaps, which is useful. It is still registered on that board anyway. Has Jake got anything with him? No, not at the moment.
Running out of time now. We're just coming up to 3 minutes of this middle of the GT3 qualifying sessions left to go. Michael Grenier it is. It's in the Get Speed Team PCX racing entry as opposed to the Team 286 one, which is a set of teams, just slightly different names. Get Speed at the beginning, a slightly different moniker at the end. So Mercedes is the car to have at the moment. Santalok Junior Team, Elliot Earhart in 2nd place at the moment with the Audi R8, and a Porsche Proton of Manuel Loch in 3rd currently.
But the important thing is it's half a second separating the first two on the average, and 0.4 of a second separating Earhart and Lauch. So gaps are not tight right now, but I imagine as we get to the 3rd part of the session, they will get tighter. The 88 Porsche being dropped down to 5th position, and actually was very early out onto the circuit and has come into the pits. Grenier also now bringing his Mercedes in. Don't know how often he will have done Creventic, Michael Grenier. Obviously, as a Mercedes Works driver, we have had Maro Engel often, but my memory is not great.
It's quite a regular Maro Engel, but Grenier I'm not so convinced about. I will see if I can find out before we commit ourselves to. He hasn't done many, and they say, oh, this is his 423rd or something.
He's probably done a few Dubais, I imagine. Here's Tanner Harvey, who's taken over in the 286. We saw that car right at the sharp end in the first session, but invariably, because of the driver lineup, we don't expect it to hold that high position. Tanner being an AM+. We've got Patrick Liddy who will take over that car, but they are down in, what's the average? The average is, 2.5, so it's going to be hard in the final session for that to be counted. Jake Hill still out there, banging in laps, taking out some life from his tyres. The last one was a 2 minutes and 10 seconds. That was a slow lap. And maybe is he going now for one last push with 41 seconds to go? Let's take a look. Nope. This is it. We'll be parking it, I think. And a chance to tour around this circuit and have a look at all the different features. Very, very elevated from where you are in the pits down to the bottom of the hill here. We talk about elevation quite a lot at Spa, but actually Nürburgring has quite a bit too. And look how banked this bottom turn is. You really can nose the car in. All right, it's a hairpin rather than a 90-degree corner like you'd find at Daytona or even Indianapolis at Le Mans, but you can carry so much more speed through there, and it really shots you up the hill. Jake obviously not pushing on this lap, so we're not expecting a lap time, and I don't think we're going to see any changes in lap time generally, to be honest. It does look as though that session is done with Grenier, the fastest car out on the circuit. Earhart second on the average, and actually Earhart getting himself a 53.9, but Gross had a 53.8 and Jake Hill had a 53.3, so a couple of cars faster than the 18 Audi, and that was going to be handed over to Pierre Caffer. So who's going to be in the 28 for the final session? Benji Pack, I imagine.
I would imagine, yes.
So Benji Pack's going to be in the 28. We're going to have Caffer in the 18. The 73 is going to have Joel Sturm, who is a works Porsche driver. Yikes. It's going to be very exciting. Let's go down to Carla, who's got some more chats.
We expected you to be fast, but you managed to be fastest in that session. Tell me a bit, how did it feel out there?
Yeah, it was nice. I didn't know really what to expect. I haven't drove new tires since 2 days ago, I think, or yesterday, early in the day. So it was quite nice. We struggled a bit this morning with the balance, all of us, but Philip and GetSpeed, they did some changes, and yeah, the car was just unreal, really.
That is really good to hear. Mercedes seems to be a strong car here on this track in general. Is there something specific about this Mercedes AMG that you think really suits to this GP track that we're driving here?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of medium speed corner, which the AMG is very good at. Normally our car is quite good on tire deck, but we are a bit heavy this weekend, so this doesn't help the tire decks. I expected the Porsche and the Ferrari to be also quick. We'll see in Q3 now. And obviously the team knows this track very well, so and they showed it to me today because my engineer asked me, what about the car? I said, 0.5 out of 5 of understeer, but the rest is fine, so it's really nice.
Fantastic. That sounds really confident. We just asked ourselves some things in the commentary. Have you driven in Creventic before?
Only Dubai.
Only Dubai.
Yeah.
So how is it to be here, not in Dubai, in Creventic?
A bit cooler, a bit less cars on track, but very great. I like this championship. It's super relaxed, but you still want to perform. The PCX guys are amazing as well. It's also rare for me to speak French with teammates because I normally share the car with German guys and German teams, so that's quite funny, and they make fun of my Canadian accent as well, so we have good fun.
Fantastic. Sounds like you're having a good time. Is it Benjamin now in the car?
Yeah, no, it's Benji. Yeah, I think he's just going to have fun. And yeah, also thanks to GetSpeed because the car is just, I'm just lots of words.
Well, looks like they're having a blast. Thank you very much, Mick, and good luck for the rest.
Thank you.
Is, of course, Mick Grenier Canadian, so has French as his national language, but racing for a German manufacturer means he probably speaks German most of the time. And the French and the Canadians do have that little war between them when it comes to the French language particularly, and obviously the teammates there, Patrick Charlier, Jordan Boisson, Benji Pack, all French, and Michael Canadian, so having the opportunity to have a bit of fun, and that's what Creventic is all about, having a bit of fun.
I was working with a Canadian guy last weekend on a different event, and he said that French Canadian or Québécois is not French. It is a conflation of two languages, but it is. Do not think it's French. It isn't. It's very, very different.
Yes, I think there might be a few people who disagree with you on that one, and you're causing troubles. No.
Not at the time. I'm merely passing on an opinion of a Canadian gentleman said to me, don't regard it as French. It is not like full-on French. It's like High German and not High German. Carla will understand exactly what I mean. It is not a criticism. It's an observation of how different it is. So that Jutta Audi at the head of the pit lane again. I recognise it now because it's the same as it was. Like I've now got its new livery and it is out onto the track straight away, but it's keen to get out there along with the naked Porsche behind it. Naked, nude,
it's staying,
however should we put it.
It's staying there. That's
black wrap.
No, I'm preferring naked. The naked Porsche all weekend long. Of course, get speed if you were not across it, based here in the Nürburgring Industrial Park. So Mikel's sort of slightly alluding to the fact they knew a lot about the circuit. Yeah, this is literally their back door. I've been around now about 13, 14 years, but have become the sort of the benchmark Mercedes AMG customer team. Suddenly you start seeing them running cars at the sharp end of every major GT3 championship. And now for the final part of qualifying, we're taking a look at the ARC Bratislava Lamborghini with that very familiar livery. They are down in 13th position right now, just the Jutta Racing Audi and the Michelin Racing Ferrari behind them. And just behind the Lamborghini is the sole Aston Martin from E2P Racing. Pablo Buguera now aboard that machine. It's a tricky car for an AM to drive, as we have a slow-moving Michelin Racing Ferrari. Now, if timing screen is correct, Carl Marcelli is aboard that car. So they're down at the tail end of the field. They have an average of 1:59.3. So that is just under 6 seconds back from our pole car. Now, I'm curious to see what Benji Pack can do versus sorry, got very confused by our graphics, which is completely not correct. Patrick Charlier is not going to be aboard the pole car, otherwise we may have a tasty qualifying session on our hands. Actually, there is nobody in the first two cars right now because they're not on circuit, so the graphics is defaulting to driver number one. And so Joel Sturm, as we expected in Proton competition number 3, we are watching Kyle Marcelli, and he comes over the line to begin a lap. Just ahead of him on the circuit is the Jutta Racing Audi with Lutz Obermann, and Ryan Diel, as promised, in the Era Motorsport Ferrari, which should be starting a lap now. Now, Jake did a 53.3, didn't he? So he'll be watching the screens to see what Ryan can do. Very much part of the furniture. I was trying to think of the right word. Part of the furniture at Era Motorsport is Ryan Diel.
Very much so. Very, very much so. We've also got Ollie Bryant on the entry list for that car this weekend.
Saw him at the drivers' briefing.
Cool.
And Ollie was driving a historic GT3 car, Porsche, I think it was, last weekend at Spa. Not that I ever named him at the right time, because this championship couldn't give me...
Will that be in the 2-litre Cup?
The what?
Porsche 2-litre Cup?
No. It was the GT3, not the GT3 Revival Series, the other one.
Oh, Legends.
The Legends, thank you.
Yes.
But the lists of drivers in cars were never correct. So the graphics were never correct. And so I was never correct until I got a message from him saying I'm not in the car. So, well...
Which is reassuring, because he wasn't mentioning you whilst driving the car around.
Yeah, exactly.
The kid's got skills, I know, but, you know.
So, Ryan Diel then has... is this a push lap? I'm just trying, I can't see.
Yeah, it looks like it.
The sun, the sun is now blinding.
For the amount of curb that the car is using, I would suggest that it is a push lap. If it's not, it's quite a lap anyway, so it's coming across the line. This is Ryan Dial in the ERA Motorsport Ferrari, currently 13th, and jumps to second as it goes across the line.
Yeah, we're still waiting for quite a few cars to register lap times, and then the averages will start to play out. Here comes Joel Sturm, the Works Porsche driver in that Proton competition car. He goes up to fastest overall, but Tim Heinemann with 53.197 has the fastest time in qualifying so far. Very, very impressive from the Up2 Racing Pro. And there he is now following, and it may well be a faster again. He's got a purple first sector. Middle sector, though, might have had an issue. And actually, yeah, he has backed out of it. So he's going to be getting back going again for another effort coming out that final turn, using all of the curb to try and open the steering, to try and maximize momentum. And he goes for another lap. His last lap, a slow one. Kobe de Bruyker is in the Adric Red Ant Racing Mercedes, and it's a 53.7 for him. 53.7 for Karl Marcelli. 53.6 for Lutz Obermann in Jutta Racing. So lots of fast drivers in this final session, including Benji Pack, Pierre Caffer, and Patrick Liddy. Yet to set lap times. In fact, we haven't seen Vasily Vladikin out yet, but Vladikin is the last of the 15 cars on circuit. Benji Packer's traffic here, though. He's got the Santalok Audi in front of him, and that's okay because that's Pierre Caffer. Oh wow, what happened there?
Stopping, Benji Pack stopping.
I mean, it ground to a hole. It almost looks like skid marks. Now he goes, but that was a...
That was, I'd say it was virtually stationary. That was down to a matter of a few kilometres of single digits speed. So I'm not quite sure what happened there. It was an old control reset or whatever for Benji Pack.
It looked very aggressive, though.
It did.
I mean, flat out through the final turn. Let's have a quick look again as he gets onto his fast lap. So he's got traffic in front of him, and maybe he's just realised too late that he wants to create a gap, and he's just slammed on the anchors. Lucky he didn't have anyone behind.
Well, yes, I'm hoping. Well, there's no doubt somebody of Benji's ability would know what was coming up behind him, but that was really quite dramatic.
Carla, thoughts from the pit lane?
Yes, important thoughts actually, because what we just missed earlier on when the Santalok Audi left the pit lane, they did a very sneaky thing. They waited until the very last split second to leave the pit lane just in front of that get speed number 28. So I think this move of the number 28 just now lifting and doing a heavy brake was just to make sure that he's not being blocked by said Audi. That is a theory that I'm setting up just right now. Not quite sure if I'm right, but it really looked like a setup by the Santalok team to make sure to block that Mercedes AMG as long as possible.
Well, all's fair, love war and racing.
Interesting theory. Caffer is 6/10 of a second slower in the first sector than Benji Pack. So it's not a particularly strong lap from the Audi, but Caffer stronger in the middle part of the lap as we ride on board with Benji Pack. This car on provisional pole. We've also got to be careful of Joel Sturm in the Proton competition Porsche, who's very, very strong, of course. And now Pack comes over the line, and it is a 53.5. Caffer did a 53.9. So it's not as fast as we've seen from others. I mentioned before, Tim Heinemann doing a 53.1. But it is enough at the moment to have them on the pole position with Caffer alongside for Santalok, and there's half a second difference. Then you've got Joel Sturm and a old Porsche row 2 right now. Let's have a look what we're seeing here. Ooh, big lose from the 93. That's Kobe de Bruyker. I did see in the very background, whilst Carla was talking, some dust. I wonder what it was.
Yeah, that's going to have brought gravel and debris and detritus onto the track as well, Ben.
Yeah, I wonder whether that's reflective in the split times then. And gets back going again, no harm done. An odd place to go off as well.
Suggests he's probably just got on the power a little bit too soon. We only just saw the tail end of that, and the car had already rotated, but it's almost as if he's either hit too much curb and hooked it, just rotated it, or just got on the power a bit too soon.
Benji Pack with an error. Benji Pack in the gravel. I was just about to say, he's got a really, really fast first sector of the lap, and he's gone off a little bit earlier than we saw from the other Mercedes. This is where the other Mercedes went off. Let's see what Benji Pack did.
I just lost it mid-corner, a little bit of a twitch, and caught it in the Schumacher S, but then couldn't get it on the other side of it, and had to go all the way. Luckily, there's a big gravel trap there. That will increase his heart rate, to say the very least. Get my words in the right order there. Just choose a word, any order.
Dipping his rear right wheel into the gravel trap. He was millimeters away from that being a monster accident and spitting him across the circuit. So that first sector was the best sector that we've seen so far. Kaffer has improved his lap time and got 3/10 of a second away from Benji Pack. Here we are on board then. Can't really see the steering wheel. Turns in.
Yeah, he's lost it on the left going in. He's just caught a little bit of that curb. He's tried to correct that, flicked over to the right-hand side, had a massive moment. It's one of those things where it starts almost like the tank slapper. The first bit, you think you've got it, you haven't. He's then had a massive correction on the right-hand part, the middle section of the Schumacher S, at which point he's had to come out of that completely and let the car go straight on. Mercifully, there's a huge gravel trap on the left-hand side there. At that point, you've just got to say, discretion, better part of valor. This lap is done, and you've got to just save the car. It's into risk management at that point.
Just over 3/10 of a second separating Pack and Kaffer then. On the average, can Pierre Kaffer do a 53.1? He'll need to be the fastest man out on circuit. He'll need to be faster than Tim Heinemann, who has that honour right now and has already pitted. So deciding not to be able to get anything more out of the 88. I'm not sure whether Kaffer is on a lap here. There's a lot of traffic around him, and he cuts the beam. Yeah, he is on a lap, but he's got two cars that may compromise him through the final turn. Is there another 3/10 of a second from the Audi through the final turn? 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining. See if this is an improvement. It is a tiniest of improvement from Pierre Kaffer, but it doesn't really do much to the average. Keeps him in second spot. I mean, that's the form of a professional driver. Benji Pack with a mammoth issue last time through Sector 2, and this time through Sector 2, not only did he do the fastest time through that sector, he does a 52.7, the fastest man on circuit. Hang on, that's faster than his professional Mercedes teammate. Unbelievable.
What did I say a few minutes ago? That's
a shiny semi-pro.
Correct, yes, with a great deal of speed. So great job by Benji Pack there. But not just in setting that time with the talent and skills required to do that, but exactly what you just said there, Ben, of resetting after a mistake. Don't let them do that. That's the past. It happened. When did it happen? The last lap. Therefore, it's history. Move on, reset, concentrate on. And no better way to put that to bed with your team than just go out and do a better one. Job done.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable from Benji Pack.
Absolute quality.
As we now follow Vasily Vadakin over the line. They are mid-pack for the Continental Racing by Simpson Motorsport. Always great to have them with us. Nicholas Grelick, by the way, got back aboard that BMW and sits in 9th position, the average between himself and his dad. And are we seeing another push? We might have another push from Joel Sturm here. Now, where is Joel in comparison to our leading two? He's only 0.2 of a second off. So if Sturm can get into the 52s, and the Porsche may not have it in it, he might be able to take that front row start away from Kaffer, particularly as Kaffer moves to the pit lane.
There's also 3 cars have been asked to report scrutinying immediately after qualifying, one of which is the Pierre Kaffer car.
Well, isn't the top 3 always gets asked, don't they?
But it's not the top 3 that I'm saying. That's the point.
Oh, okay.
It's 18, 69 and 93. So Kevin De Bruyne, Pierre Kaffer,
And Sturm gets up to second. Does he?
Third.
Third. Well, hang on. Something happened there because he was in second for a few moments. I think he had a track limit infringement from Joel Sturm on his last lap because it was super strong, but nothing seems to have changed on the timing screens. Sorry, Snowy. An unnecessary grunt.
I think, like Benji Pack, we'll just move on.
Pack's in the pits. Kappa's in the pits. Heinemann and De Bruyke are in the pits, and we follow Joel Sturm. Third position, but I'm sure he actually has missed the checker flag, so he's been able to start a new lap because the flag has come out after him, but I'm not sure he is on a push. He's not. Here is that Aston Martin. I do love the car. I know that you do as well, Snowy. I need to talk to you about Aston Martins later. It's probably not for broadcast, so we'll do it off air.
I can sell you one. It's fine.
But this is a tough car, a tough GT3 car to drive as an AM driver. That's perfect for pros, and we see that in those pro GT3 races. But it is really very sort of single-seater-like in its characteristics. Lots of aerodynamics, and the E2P racing guys have really struggled and big history with this car, but I feel as though now getting more and more on top of it. One last car to follow on his final lap. Douglas Koo, Vipanisa Racing, down in 13th position. The all Mercedes lineup, both drivers and mechanics, flying the whole team across from Kuala Lumpur, and of course had their home race last year and the Malaysian 12 hours. Unfortunately, not on the calendar for this year. But there is a very shiny, very, very shiny looking Mercedes AMG GT3 Evo. That has had a few elbows worth of polish. I wonder whether actually it might be a new chassis, because of course GetSpeed would have used quite a lot of cars at the Spa 24 Hours last weekend, and it would be too fast to turn them around, I would have thought, to get them racing here. Also DTM this weekend, GT Open, lots of GT3 racing. So that could well be a new chassis, or just lots of elbow grease. It could have been in bits.
It could have been. It's good. Could be far worse. As options go, that's quite a good one. Nice and shiny. We like that.
Yeah. Just a little bit of gravel rash on one side that Benji is now going to have to get himself some polish and get rid of. There is another one, though. The GetSpeed Patrick Liddy machine ending up in 6th position. Let's go down to Carla then, who has our pole position drivers.
Benji, you know you can just do quick laps without giving us a scare before that, right? You're aware of that.
Yeah, I know. Me too. I think it was a big brown code, but at the end we managed to cool down and to push another lap and did a mega lap. So I'm super happy. It was close to a perfect lap. So thank you to the whole team to give me such a great car to drive.
I think if I remember correctly, you were even faster than Mick Grenier. You really pushed a proper lap out there. Can you tell me, if it was me in the car and I'm not a race driver, I would be quite, shocked after a moment like that. But what do you do to switch? Because you switched immediately and went into a massive lap.
Yeah, I mean, it was in sector 2. I did quite a small mistake, but it happens quite hard. And then I went in the gravel, came out of the gravel, and then switched the hat off, completely off, and to calm down really. And said, okay, now I have one more lap to push. My engineer also told me to calm down. All was good, so thanks to him, because he helped me quite a lot. And then, yeah, head down, and we had to focus another lap, so then I did a perfect job. So yeah, it's very nice.
Fantastic portrayal of teamwork. Hats off, well done. Thank you, and see you tomorrow on pole position.
Thank you so much. See you tomorrow.
Confirmation then of our qualifying results from the GT3 class with GetSpeed PCX on the pole position, thanks to Benji Pack once again, alongside Pierre Caffer and the Santalok Junior team in second spot with their 5 drivers. 2 Porsches on row 2. It is Proton alongside Up 2 Racing with Tim Hyman, a very star of the show there. Agit Red Ant Racing in 5th, and Get Speed team JR286 in 6th. And then the Era and Continental Racing Audi on row 4. Row 5 will consist of the new BMW from Haas RT and Hofer Racing. And then in 11th position, the Aston Martin alongside another of our Mercedes, thanks to Viper Nisa. ARC Bratislava, Pellin Racing Ferrari in 14th, and Jutta Racing in their Audi round out our 15 GT3 cars. That will be your grid, with race starting tomorrow at 11 o'clock local time. 15 GT3 cars in the field, heading out for 3 qualifying sessions, the average of the 3, setting our grid. And in general, it went without a hitch. A very, very fast Get Speed black and white machine in the first part of the session, a brand new BMW as well. But from the out-go, Santalok Racing showing their hand with Stefan Trebadini setting the fastest lap in the first session. Session number 2, Jake Hill out there, fractionally slower than Michael Grenier, who was the fastest in session number 2. And that set up Get Speed to be on the pole position. All they needed was Benji Pack to do a super fast lap. Kobe De Bruyke had a moment. This was Benji Pack having a massive moment, but he did get pole. Well, thank you very much for joining us for qualifying here at the Nürburgring. Our race, lunchtime race starts 11 o'clock English time, 12 o'clock local time. But we've still got more action coming your way with the Prototype Cup coming in a few moments. Switch over and see us there. Bye-bye for now.